Morning everyone, Dean Howell here from GeoSpatial Connect. Today is Wednesday, at least in Adelaide. For Jason it's probably still Tuesday evening, and for anyone else on the other side of the globe. Today is our job seeker coaching. On Wednesday we do that. Just as a recap, Monday we do our events hangout, Tuesday our services hangout, Wednesday our job seeker coaching, Thursday products and projects, and Friday is our business coaching. So if you have anything you want to promote, or you just want to listen in and contribute to the discussion, then certainly let me know. These webinars are for members of GeoSpatial Connect. So if you're not a member, then by all means just jump on over and join at www.geospatialconnect.com. All right, today job seeker coaching, we're just going to go through revamping a resume. So I'm actually going to do or show you some resumes that I'm working on at the moment for members of GeoSpatial Connect. And the whole point of your resume is to get known and stand out in comparison to other candidates. Last week we talked about the actual interview, and so the resume is what you need to get to the interview. And once you're at the interview, hopefully your resume has done enough of a job that at the interview, it's all about building that relationship as opposed to selling your skills and experience. So, did I actually start that? Yep, terrific. All right, so I am just going to change screens here quickly, and I'm just going to share. Oops. Okay. So I'm just going to, just so I can keep track of if anyone jumps on, I'm just going to move that to my other screen. All right. So here's a resume from a guy that we're helping here in Adelaide. His name is Kieran Burrow. And Kieran's actually quite experienced in the GIS industry, but he's struggling to find, and he's a recent migrant to Australia. So he has had lots of experience, but he's finding it difficult to break into the Australian market. And a lot of that has to do with, unfortunately, there's a perception that some overseas skills aren't the same as what you gain in Australia, and often employers are looking for local skills. So what I'm just going to go through quickly, and if you have any questions as we go along, then certainly just let me know. All right, so we can see here Kieran's resume, fairly stock standard, name at the top, contact details, nothing that stands out straight away. It's all black and white. We've got some skills, we've got some employment history, both here in Australia and his overseas experience, down to his education, and then some references. And that's all great. You know, his resume actually says everything it needs to say. Um, but what I'd like to show you today is how just tweaking it slightly can be better for you. All right, so I'm just going to flick screens again. So just share. That's me again. So I'm just going to share back to. All right, so here is a resume that I've revamped for Kieran. Okay, so the immediately it's not your standard black and white resume. We've added some color, our different colors depending on yourself, but I tend to think just sort of keeping it at a little bit of color, but don't go over the top. You don't want a rainbow resume, although if a rainbow is a bit more like your personality or the sort of job you're going for, then maybe that's what you want to look at. But we've created a title page, and so on this title page is Kieran's name, a bit of a professional title. So I've just said GIS professional. So if you're a graduate, that might say GIS graduate, or it might say analyst, it might say web developer, or whatever it happens to be. I've put in his qualifications right up the front. So often when employers are looking through a resume, they have a few selection criteria that they want to just be able to go, yep, you've got that, you've got that. And things like education, you want to get them out of the way straight away. So a lot of people put them low in their resume, and as Kieran did in his previous one, education was right at the bottom. Now, GIS is very much a technical profession, and so employers want to know that you've got the technical skills, but they also want to know, when they've got a selection criteria that you have to have A, B, and C, and you have to have a degree in this. Well, let's get the degree education part out of the way. So we've put that on the title page. So Kieran's got a Master's in Science and Geology, Bachelor of Science in Geology and Chemistry, and a diploma in GIS and remote sensing. And we've listed when he got those, so you can see that he's got quite some years of experience. Now, I've added the year to his resume, so at least you can see when that resume was, and we've added a photo and his contact details. So all on that front page. The great thing, like some people don't like a photo, but I personally think, it gives you a connection immediately with that person. It's not just it's not just a resume. Now you know who you're actually looking at, and the employer's making a connection with you straight away. So they're seeing you. So put a professional photo together, just a head shoulder shot, and so immediately they're connecting. All right, so that's just our title page, and in our title page already we can see who Kieran is, what his qualifications are, and who he is in terms of, you can see the photo. All right, so we're just going to continue down, and we've got continuing on with that color theme. So I've just used a green and blue, and to be honest, green and blue is our corporate colors, and that works for us. But what you want to do is use colors in a way that it just helps you to stand out slightly, all right, from your standard black and white. So Now, given that majority of resumes now are submitted electronically, they are um, online. You're sending them as a PDF or a Word document, so it doesn't actually, you're not having to print it out. So color is not a major factor. When previously, um, when you had to print them out, color printing was more costly, so therefore everyone just kept it as black and white. But you didn't stand out. So this way you stand out immediately, and that's what you want your resume to do. Okay, so we've got a career overview, and I haven't really revamped what Kieran has said in the content. All I've done is reorder it and reformat it. So um, I did add some spaces here to space out his career overview. It was a bit scrunched up in his previous one. Once again, we've added his education just to get that out of the way, and he's got this big list of skills summary. So immediately in our first page, we've got an overarching statement, we've got education, and we've got the skills that we have. All right, so these are just broad statements. All right, and so the employer can go, all right, yep, I know that this person has got the skills that I want. I don't have to read through multiple pages just to find out that thing. Now, different people will tell you different scenarios about how long a resume should be. Now, I personally think that a resume can be as long as you want it to be. But having said that, in the first 1-2 pages, you want to tell everything about you in a summarized format. Now, if the employer is then interested, they'll read the rest of it. So you don't need your employment history right up front. What you need is your skills right up front, your education right up front, because then people will go, all right, yep, I can see that this person has got spatial data management, and that's what we're looking for, or whatever it happens to be. So then what I suggest, now this skills table here is the next part. So I suggest you break down your skills into categories. And so that can be GIS software, GPS hardware, databases, programming languages, whatever it happens to be. And then you list the specific software and hardware that you've used. So just scrolling back up here, this skills summary is really just an overarching statement, and then the skills table goes into that more specifics of that I've used ArcGIS 9.1 or I've used ArcView 3.2. Now, we still haven't finalized Kieran's resume. I'm just waiting back for this information from him. But what you do here is you put a skill level and when you last used it. So that skill level can be that you've just had exposure to it, you've got basic understanding, intermediate, or an advanced user. You can categorize yourself how you want, and it doesn't have to be just 4 levels, it could be more. And when you last used it is a great thing for employers. Now, if you haven't, say, like I'm not 100% sure, but MapInfo, I think, is now up to version 10. So to me, that would probably say that Kieran hasn't used MapInfo for a little while. But, that's not a bad thing to say that, all right, yep, I used it last in 2010. You've got those skills. They may be a little out of date, but you're willing to learn, all right? So, and it shows what you've been working on most recently. So if you've got a current project that you're working on with ArcGIS as an example, then the last used might be October 2013. So now, depending on the project you're going for, you might want to rejig the order of those things. So you bring up the skills that are related to the job description. All right. And then once you've got all that, and we'll just scroll through. So we're only up to page 3, including our header. And then we go into our employment history. So if the employer is happy with that you've got the relevant skills, they'll then scroll through and look at your employment history. So put down who you worked for, the role, and how long, and try to avoid having negatives in your resume. Like if you've been away for a couple of years and you've been traveling and not doing any related work, then don't necessarily put that in. You know, if I'm reading here June 2012 to present, and I come down here March 2012 to June 2012, a lot of people, if this was 2010 to June 2010, a lot of people immediately aren't going to make, oh, he didn't work for 2 years. But if you put in there that you traveled for 2 years, then they will go, oh, he didn't work for 2 years. So try to avoid those things that are going to lead to a possible negative connotation. So list the things you did. You don't need to go into any great detail. That's what the whole interview's for, if they want to find out more about a specific job. Okay, and then finalize with additional information. So if you've got referees, include them. If you've got hobbies, include those. If you've got other skills that are outside, then include those. If you've got like a first aid certificate or whatever, then include those in your resume. So I'll just scroll back to the top and just give you a quick summary there. So using color, have a title page, include a photo, have an overview with your education up front, a skills list and a skills table with your, and then from there have the rest of your information. So you want to stand out from the crowd, and all right, so we're back to me. So all right, so the point of having your resume is to get you to that next step of the interview. So hopefully that has been good. If anyone wants assistance with revamping their resume, that's one of the services that we do provide here at GeoSpatial Connect. So let me know if you need your resume revamped. We do that. We do it fairly quickly and fairly cost effectively too. If anyone has any questions, then just let me know. Just going to bring this back to the other screen so I'm looking right there. Okay, so Jason's just asking, of a separate references page instead of it being in my resume, is that absolutely necessary? All right. So references aren't specifically necessary. And if the organisation asks for them, like as part of the job application, then include them. Yep, it's fine to have them separate, because what you might find is that for one job, you might want to use person A, and then for another job, you might want to use person B. So you may not necessarily want to have the same references all the time. The other piece of advice that I would give you is, if you're applying to a recruitment agency, I've just lost my train of thought there. If you're applying to a recruitment agency, don't put in your references. Once again, unless they ask for it. Yeah, and the reason I say this is because recruitment agencies use your references for their own benefit, not for your benefit. They use it for their benefit, because if you put a reference down, say if they're in the GIS industry and they're trying to build up business in it, then they'll use that to contact them for their own purposes, and as opposed to doing what they should be in terms of using the reference for. So my advice is list references when they're asked for. Don't give them specifically to recruitment agencies, but yeah, it's all right to have them as a separate page or even a separate document. All right, so hopefully that answered your question. All right, so if there's no more questions for today, hopefully that was useful. I'll put the recording up of that shortly. It'll be on our blog, YouTube channel, and on the various Google community and Facebook group. So we'll get that up there. So remember, tomorrow's Thursday. It's our products and projects webinar. Friday is our business coaching webinar. So I look forward to those if you're around at 10:30 Adelaide time. And thanks again for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Okay, bye for now.